Hey everyone, it's Dr. Kerry Yerkew here. Thanks for joining me today for this podcast. Today I'm answering questions from our last podcast and the social media posts we've been doing. And this is for the webinar and the book coming up called The Body You're Taking to College. And this idea came from my own children going away to college. They'll be leaving tomorrow. And I was talking to my son a couple weeks ago and I was thinking, did I prepare him well enough to go away to school? So I thought, well, it would be great if I did a webinar and a booklet to go with it that he can refer to. So first question that I got was, I felt amazing the first month and then completely fell apart around midterms. What happened to me? I think a lot of times people start out with good intentions. So maybe your first couple weeks, you get organized, you start, but soon as the demands increase, soon as the workload increases, you can easily fall back to the old habits rather than the new ones. I sometimes call them the old tapes. So you can start functioning like you used to because it's more natural, it's been done longer than the new way of doing things, especially around midterms, because you're under a lot of stress. Maybe you're not exercising as much. You're getting, the stress is causing you to reach for some quick energy, and usually those snack foods aren't very good for you, like those energy drinks or energy bars, and you start to get off track. So I think it's important to prioritize, to stay disciplined, hold it steady through the exams, know the stress is going to go up, make a plan during that exam time, and stick to eating healthy, getting enough sleep, and properly dealing with your stresses, which we're going to talk about at the webinar and in the booklet. So you might have to make some accommodations, but you definitely need to hold it steady with the sleep, with the exercise, and with the nutrition as well. Number two, if you could only get me to change one thing, what would it be? I think sleep's the biggest thing. If you can get better sleep, your health's going to improve because there's a lot of circadian rhythms in your brain. So those rhythms go on a cycle. That cycle, there's some cycles that are 24 hours, and it's important that you're resetting that cycle so you can produce the right hormones. There's a gland in the brain called the pituitary gland. There's a hypothalamus in the brain. All of these structures produce master hormones, produce thoughts and emotions that drive signals to the rest of the body. So it's really important that you're getting enough sleep to kind of reset that cycle. I'm broke and I have no time. How am I supposed to eat well? Well, this is something that I'm talking about in the book that I'm writing and at the webinar coming up here in September. And I'll be talking about eating while on a tight budget. When I went to college, I ate a lot of tuna out of cans with some mayo. I had iceberg lettuce with the tuna. I made steel cut oats, enough for a few days. And then for dinner, sometimes it was pasta, sometimes rice, and then it was some protein. You know, you could get some shrimp, or you could get some eggs, or you could get some pork or beef, depending on what you eat and what your dietary, if you have any restrictions or allergies. But there's a lot of foods like pasta. Let's use pasta as an example. You can make a lot of pasta for not very much money. You know, like you can go buy some macaroni or spaghetti, cook it, and that's a lot of nutrition for very low cost. So I would recommend pasta, definitely. Rice is good. The steel cutouts, I love those. And they produce good energy too, good protein, fiber, carbohydrate. So all of those are excellent. We'll be talking more about that again at the webinar and in the booklet. The booklet will be on Amazon. The webinar, you can go to the link in the bio or the description below to get a ticket for that to sign up. And if you don't have time, I would suggest on the weekend to make extra for the week. Today, I actually put some chicken breasts in the oven. I made 3 of them. I had some today, but the other part is for tomorrow and the next day and Wednesday. So the next 3 days should be covered just from simply making some extra. So be thinking about that on the weekend. Make a double portion, let's say, and then put it away. Question 4. I sit all day and I know I should exercise more, but I have zero time for the gym. What do I actually do? So you sit all day and you know you should exercise more. I think you have to make the gym a priority. It doesn't have to be a gym. You can go outside and walk or even run. Doing intervals like walking and then sprinting a distance and then walking again, that's really good exercise. A lot of studies say about 20 minutes of that can be enough cardio for you. So doing something like that 3 days a week, you could get some weights for your dorm or your residence. You could go to the gym. A lot of colleges have gyms that are inexpensive and they're open long hours. So I would recommend getting a gym membership at your school, preferably close by, and then go there and have a routine. I gave my son a routine 3 days a week, 10 exercises, 1 repetition of each. That takes about 20 minutes, and then you can get through that. You can do some weight and increase as time goes on, get a little bit heavier with it. And I think what that'll do is it'll just make you a lot stronger. It's going to make you a lot stronger. When you're building muscle, it releases a lot of hormones and growth hormones, and I think that's really important. So yeah, so that's what I would do. Make it a priority, work it into your schedule. If you get a lunch break, go then. If you get a break between classes, go then. I like to do things first thing in the morning, so go do it before class and then it's out of the way. And if it's high enough priority, you should be doing it first thing. Question number 5. Everyone's stressed in college. Why is mine making me feel physically sick? Yeah, I think stress produces this energy, and that energy has to go somewhere. And if you're not using up that energy by exercising, or maybe doing things like breathing exercises or meditation, I believe in prayer. If you're not praying, then that energy has to go into the body. And as it travels into the body, it creates tension in the muscles. It can change the body because it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. That's fight or flight. And then what happens is your organs and your muscles start to tense up. They prepare for some type of challenge, like maybe thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago, there was a battle. Like if you got stressed, it was because there was an animal in your area, a bear, let's say. So you had to fight off the bear, you had to run from the bear. So our bodies are made to deal with the fight or flight response through the sympathetic nervous system. Now, the opposite of that is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's when you're relaxed, and that's when your body's growing and healing and digesting food. So you do need a balance between the two. You're going to have some stress, but if it's chronic, if it's there all the time, and it's creating these chronic patterns in your body, that's not good. And you really should look for ways to deal with that stress, mentally reframing the stressor. A lot of times, these are just challenges, things you don't know how to do. You have to learn how to do it. Let's say new material that you have to learn for an exam. And some people, that really stresses them out. So just look at it like a challenge and an opportunity for you. And then learn to deal with it in ways that are productive. Number 6, I'm kind of lonely and I'm not an athlete. How do I actually make friends? This is a good question. I think around campus I would look for groups. If there's a group that, something that interests you, like a photography group, there's a reading group, there's a church group, maybe you can volunteer at a sporting event and help out, with the event itself. Or just do intramurals, even if you don't know how to play a sport, just kind of start at the basic level, play a basic level of intramural sports. that can be a really good idea. So, look for those opportunities. I know it's a little bit intimidating to go where you don't know somebody, but it is important. Those social connections are so important to us because the science behind it shows that it's good for you. It's healthy when you make social connections, and you feel part of a bigger group. So that's very important. Um, Now, question 7: how do I know when it's just normal college tiredness versus something I actually need to get checked? This is a good question. I think tiredness that comes and goes, tiredness that improves with sleep, tiredness that improves with eating, uh, with some of the things I just talked about, meditation, breathing exercises. That's that's normal stresses and normal tiredness. I think if you have a tiredness that persists and you do all those things, then there could be an underlying issue, something that you should get checked. Let's use a simple example, something like maybe mono. When somebody has mono, they're tired a lot and they could be trying a whole bunch of different things that's not working. That would be a great example of when you should get checked. So there's some questions. I want to thank you guys for asking these questions and following me here. If you're interested in coming to the webinar and you want to get a copy of the book, The Body You're Taking to College, then click on the link in the bio or the description below, and you can get a free ticket. You just have to sign up. There's the VIP where I'm going to do some Q&A after the webinar. That's $29 for the ticket for the Q&A. That's just to answer your specific questions after the webinar is done. And then we have the mastermind group. If you want to be part of a group, that's a good idea. We'll meet once a month, and it'll be good for encouragement. It'll help to keep you on track. It'll provide some accountability to you. If you want to take it to the next level, then there's some one-on-one coaching, health coaching services that I offer. All of that, again, is in the link in the bio or the description below. And I want to thank you again for joining me today for this podcast.